Welcome back to Rating the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad. And in this episode, we'll be exploring number 6 from our horror top 10, which is The Shining.
Yes, The Shining, released in 1980. Director is Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall. The quick synopsis on IMDb reads as follows. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future.
Okay.
All right.
So this is a Stephen King adaptation of a book by the same name. Famously, he hates this adaptation of the movie, even though it's of his horror, at least of his horror adaptations, it's by far the best one. I don't think there's even a close second, honestly.
Yeah, so they really, it's very interesting because you would think that with all the Stephen King books, I mean, this man just pumps them out like every 3 months. You would think that they would have like a good adaptation of his novels. Usually the ones that adapt well to the screen are his more serious.
Yeah,
like Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me and The Shining, I think, are by far the 3 best adaptations of his work.
Yeah.
Those are 3 really
I never
really
saw
good
The
films.
Green Mile.
It's okay.
Yeah, I never even read it either. I was so pissed.
It's not, I mean, it's not bad, but it's just okay.
Yeah, so they originally released The Green Mile in like tiny books. There was like 5 of them, and I was like, come on, Stephen King, like, do you really need more of my money? You know, so I was like, no, I'm not reading it. So I never read it or watched the movie. But okay, The Shining, like, really freaking scary. And just even the opening scene where you're like watching them drive to the hotel and the music is playing in the background. Bum, bum. Like, just, you know, bad shit's about to go down. Yeah. Just listening to that music.
We watched this a few months into the pandemic, and it really, really hit.
It really did.
Because, I mean, the movie is really about what, partially, I mean, there's supernatural stuff at play as well, but a lot of it is the isolation of this family and what it does to them, especially Jack the father.
Right.
I mean,
played brilliantly by Jack Nicholson.
I mean,
like
he goes off the rails and he does it real slowly.
Yes, and he just leans into his creepy side a little bit, and it just really works. And yeah, so it does have supernatural elements to it, but again, not a ton. It still feels very grounded. You could assume that maybe he's just imagining all these things happening, but you know, the son is there with psychic abilities and is also seeing these things happen.
That's really the only way until the very end.
Right,
that's
when he's
really
in the picture.
That's really the only way that you know that it's you can't just, you know, use that interpretation that, oh, he went a little, you know, he just had cabin fever and really, you know, the isolation caused him to go insane. Until you know, his kid is, you know, he sees the twins and, you know, the red rum stuff and all of that. Right,
and so it's interesting because I never read The Shining. I've read a lot of Stephen King books. I never read The Shining. But with Stephen King as a writer, he is big on character development. Like, you really get to know his characters.
And I think that's probably why a lot of his adaptations don't work. It's really, really difficult in the time frame you have for a movie to develop character. It's really, really hard. So
it is hard.
Most movies tend to be more plot driven.
Yeah.
And, you know, unless you've got like a movie series, you don't generally get a lot of character development. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You see it now more and more the better adaptations tend to be the ones that are on Netflix or Hulu or Apple or
because they
Prime,
can take their time.
because they can do them as a series, either a limited series or a series over a couple of seasons, and that gives them time to develop the characters.
I also think that with Stephen King, if you have people that haven't read his books and you're going to put it on screen, people expect horror and they expect to be scared. They don't want to sit and like really get into a character either.
Yeah, which is why you kind of have to almost, you know, pull it out of people that, you know, like when Stand By Me came out, I don't think anyone associated with that movie in terms of, you know, like Rob Reiner or anyone else who was involved with that movie ever mentions that it's based on a Stephen King short story. Same thing when Shawshank Redemption came out. You don't really hear about it being a Stephen King short story because there's that association that Stephen King equals horror.
Right, and he does all kinds of different genre of novels. He does science fiction, he does fantasy, he does horror, he kind of runs the gamut. And he's just one of the most prolific authors of our time.
Yeah.
Whether you enjoy him or not, it's just fact. And for me, it's like when you watch this movie, you're thinking, okay, Jack has issues already.
Right.
I mean, he has issues.
At the onset, I mean, you know, part of the reason that they're there is, you know, they want to work on their marriage a little bit. There was an incident that caused him to stop his drinking because he's an alcoholic, where he hurt his son, and that was kind of the catalyst for him to finally stop drinking. So
let's isolate ourselves for 4 months.
So, you know, well, I mean, you know, the thought is, you know, if it's just us together,
like nothing else around, like we can work together.
We can work on our things without any outside influence, which is ironic because really that's all that happens is outside influence. It just happens to be supernatural.
Well, I think the supernatural entity of this spot is like, this guy is going to be an easy target. So I feel like, you know, maybe if you had somebody else doing that job, maybe it wouldn't have turned out the way it did.
But, I mean, we go into the story with knowing that the previous caretaker killed his whole family.
Oh, that's true.
So...
yeah. So, I don't know if I'd be super excited about taking that job. But anyway, the visuals are incredible. Even just like, I know what that freaking hallway, freaking carpet looks like. Yeah. I'll always know what that hallway carpet looks like.
They do a really good job of recreating it in Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There's a sequence in that. I don't even think it's in the book, if I remember right. I've read the book, and I also watched the movie. I've seen the movie a few times, and I read the book once. I don't even think that it's in there, but one of the things that happened with the adaptation of Ready Player One is it has stuff from all kinds of, you know, popular culture. So it's not just, you know, Warner Brothers stuff. And to do that, you have to get all these rights and all, you know, so, you know, other studios are not going to want to cooperate with Warner Brothers to make their movie better.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of Star Wars references, which is owned by 20th Century Fox. That stuff doesn't make it in there. There's all kinds of stuff. So pretty much everything in there is either owned by Warner Brothers or is public domain. So, but there's a sequence in that movie where they recreate that hallway scene and a few other pieces of The Shining, and they do it really, really well.
They really do. One thing I want to say is Shelley Duvall, like, she doesn't like pop up in much, especially now. Like in that time in the 70s, I think she was in quite a bit.
Well, she had a really, really difficult time on that movie. She was treated really, really badly,
Yeah.
and she apparently had a little bit of a
meltdown,
and it really turned her off from Hollywood. I think the only thing I really remember her in after that, honestly, is Popeye.
Well, she was in Roxanne,
Right, and
which
Roxanne.
we just watched a little bit.
So
ago.
her career was really kind of hit and miss after that, but
it's
it's unfortunate. I mean,
yeah,
it's a real classic kind of thing in Hollywood that, directors, they feel like, they can have bad behavior in order to
like
get
his
something
excuses. That's how I got her to really,
right,
just get in touch with this side. It's like
instead
I don't
of
think you need
just
to do that. Because honestly, Jack Nicholson was really creepy. I would have been scared.
And instead of just, going to Shelley and say, hey, this is how I need you to play this.
Yeah.
And I trust you as an actress who's a professional and got hired to do this too.
Exactly.
And to do this.
Yeah.
And, let the actor or actress, come up with whatever they need internally to do. You don't need to treat them like shit, if they need to do
Which
something.
Which is a common occurrence in a lot of movies that we've been watching.
Yeah.
And Stanley Kubrick, he's done all his movies are kind of weird, except for Space Odyssey, which is
that's pretty weird.
Yeah, it's pretty out there. I still don't get it, but
actually, his least weird movie is probably either Paths to Glory or The Killing.
Okay.
He's done some stuff that's not really.
Well, it's interesting because he has like a feel to his movies.
For
to
sure.
me,
he has a style.
He has a style and an aesthetic style of what it looks like. Like he really goes into those tans and the purples and
those really dark muted colors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the place, the Overlook Hotel, was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool place to shoot a movie. I did watch the Dr. Sleep, which is the continuation of the Shining story. Ewan McGregor plays the young Danny. It's okay. It's not really great to me, but it's okay.
I never saw it, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't compare at all to this movie at all. But yeah, so this movie is very scary. Once you see the twins, you cannot unsee the twins.
Yeah, forever.
They're in your retinals. Yeah. One of the cool things too is the scenes that take place in the bar, where Jack is sitting at the bar and there's a bartender, Lloyd, and he's just kind of talking to him and drinking, and he's not really there, and
I think they kind of copy that a little bit, and I can't remember, what is that is The Passenger?
Oh yeah,
that movie with Chris Pratt. They kind of play on that a little bit. They do. He's kind of dressed the same. Yeah. But yeah, if you have not seen this movie, check it out.
You should really check it out, just for to have that in your pocket, because it's a great movie. It's scary as hell.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could, all of these movies, especially this time of year, we're in the Halloween season, you're going to be able to find them.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. If you would like to leave a comment, let us know what you think about The Shining. Please do so. If you would like to contact us directly, please contact us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. For now, I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're Rating the List. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.